Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to Let's Try Distant Worlds. Distant Worlds is a 4X space sim strategy game that I've been wanting to make a video for ages. The question is finding time for it. Now, this is not going to be a Let's Play, it's just going to be a little short session sort of introducing you to this game. You may have never heard of it. It's not very well known, it's kind of niche-y. It has been around for a little while, developed by a smaller company, and it is possibly the single most sort of combination of both incredibly ambitious and fairly well put together grand strategy kind of 4X game that's out there. The scale is actually mind-blowing. Now, is it the most accessible game out there? Actually, it's kind of surprising. The amount of automation that's in here make it fairly accessible. One of the other downsides, it's relatively pricey because you really want to get all the expansion packs for it. They really add a lot. They don't have a huge user base, arguably because of the price, I don't know. So it's sort of like a catch-22 where they don't sell a lot of copies, so it's a little bit more expensive, so maybe they don't sell a lot of copies. I don't know, check it out. They're coming out with a new expansion soon. Maybe they'll come out with a complete pack. I don't know. We'll do a follow-up on it. So what's the deal with this game? Well, first of all, let's go through the normal sort of setup for like a 4X style game, and you'll get a pretty good sense of the amount of scope that's there. So we can go start new game. Some of the standard options in terms of the galaxy shape that you can choose, but also there's the amount of stars, up to 1,400 stars in one galaxy, and each star can have multiple planets with multiple moons and, like, you know, star bases and things. The scale is actually through the roof on this game. They even recommend that, like, the large and huge galaxies need 2 gigs of RAM at a minimum to run. Trust me, the scope of this game is gargantuan. Even on a standard or even on a small game, you could be playing this for quite some time. You can also change the physical size of the universe, so bigger will mean more sort of space between everything and might slow things down a little bit. I'm going to keep the standard amount of stars and large physical size. You can also tweak the variety of parameters about how the galaxy is formed, how far ahead research-wise some of the techs start, which I think is the expansion slider, yes. Research, whether it should be very expensive, very cheap, which will greatly affect the pace of the game. I mean, if you want something that you're going to be playing for the next 6 months in a single game, you can set that up in here if you want. The next screen, we've got a couple of things. These are sort of independent colonies, maybe breakaways from the main races, independent life forms. Colony influence range, I don't know if you want to mess with that starting on, and then the colonization range limits. It's kind of interesting, because right now with this, you can technically create a colony on the opposite side of the galaxy if you want, with it unchecked. But if you turn it on, then there's a maximum range that you can colonize. So depending on what you feel is appropriate in terms of game balance, you might tweak it. We'll leave it at the defaults for now. Next comes our race. Now, unlike most 4X games, you do not have the ability to customize your race in-game. This game is incredibly moddable. People have done everything from, well, like I know there's a great Star Trek mod for it. I mean, these are just kind of text files, right? So the races have all been replaced with the standard Star Trek-y kind of races, that sort of thing. There's quite a few to choose from, and they each have a pretty different set of characteristics. So the humans, for example, they have their native planet type is continental. They get a bonus to their reproduction rate. They're quite aggressive, but also cautious, friendly, intelligent, and dependable. They get a bonus to spies and to research. They have an affinity to certain types of resources. And each race, this is really cool, and this is one of my favorite parts of the game, has a unique victory condition. For example, the humans. So there's actually... Man, it's weird. We'll get to it in a sec. There's kind of multiple victory conditions, right? Like, if you've played Civilization, you're used to a science victory, and a domination victory, and a culture victory. Right, well, in Distant Worlds, all the victory conditions sort of kind of work together so that it's not about finding one or completing one victory condition. It's about having an aggregate victory score that's high enough, and there's a few different categories that you can work on to sort of develop that victory score. And there are standard ones, and then each race has its own. So the human victory condition, the 100% victory, man, it's hard to explain. I'm just realizing. One of the victory conditions is your race victory condition, and then this is further broken down into sub-categories where you can get points for. For example, if the humans can control up to 33% of all continental colonies in the galaxy, then that will account for a full 25% of their racial victory condition. This all adds up with, like, other kind of bits. They want mutual defense packs. They want to Destroy enemy ships and bases, then you lose. Okay, that's, let's not throw away a bunch of stuff needlessly. I got that. If you're earning the most trade income in the galaxy, if you're earning the most tourist income in the galaxy. Now, this is not an on or off thing, I believe. I don't think it's like you either get 0% or the 15%. I think that depending on how well you're doing trade-wise, you'll get a portion of this bonus. But if you were number one trade income, then you would get 15% added to your race victory conditions, which would further factor into bigger things. This game is mind-blowing. It's unbelievable. There are characters. This was added, I believe, and specifically in the Legends expansion, they added a lot of different characters like special ambassadors and spies and things, and they're very cool and add a lot of personality to the game. So humans look like they get a little bit, they get extra intelligence agents, and they're slightly more likely to generate certain ones and slightly less likely to generate other ones. Special government type, corporate nationalism. And they start with no special technologies, but they're also not banned from any technology. We'll start with the humans because why not? But there's so many of them. They're the ones that are more techy. They're the ones that are more violent. Of anything you want, you can flick it to random if you want. That's fine. And then you get to set up your empire. You can name it. So I've got it as the Quillpire here. Main color, secondary color. So if we wanted, something. God, that's not very nice. I don't know. I like sort of the. Well, that's not white. This is white. The white pattern in the middle, you've got a variety of banners to choose from, sort of standardy stuff. Galaxy starting location, you can tune it. There's a sort of regular sort of 4xe, everything is random kind of thing, but you can also tune it. And what they've got, very interestingly enough, and if we went back to the main screen, you'd be able to see this. They've got a bunch of sort of pre-configured setups for different galaxies that you might want to explore. For example, they've got one really interesting one where there's one race that's in the core that's actually very well developed, and then you've got a bunch of races on the rim that are much smaller and much newer. And this is like kind of an unbalanced setup, but it may be an interesting one, right? So you can play in that scenario, and you can play as either the central race or one of the ones on the rim, and how you're going to play it in different things, because the central race, I think, is outnumbered overall, but starts off further ahead. Maybe they don't have as many resources. Maybe that area is sort of more depleted. I'm not sure how it works out, but they've got tons of different scenarios like that. We'll leave it on random. We can tweak our home system settings. For example, maybe we decided we're going to leave it on normal difficulty, but we're going to give ourselves a little bit of a boost by improving our home system to be all the way to excellent, for example. And that's fine. I mean, in a way it's cheating, in a way it's whatever. Maybe you'll increase the game difficulty, but then give yourself this boost, or you'll keep the difficulty the same, but lower your home resources. You can do all sorts of things. Here's that starting size. So by default, when we set up the galaxy, we set the default starting size of individual empires to starting. But again, we could, maybe we've been around the block a little while, so we're an old empire, so we're going to be bigger and we're going to have more technology. Well, actually, there's the tech level, government corruption, and then there's different government types as well. So we can start with a random one, but again, we as the humans do have corporate nationalism as an option, so we might want to pick it and see what it does. We get 20% more corruption, which is not good. 30% less growth rate, less research speed, less colony income, more maintenance cost. It's actually terrible. Why would we want this? And you can read about it. You can find out some of the history and different things. Huge short-term boost to state economy as all private revenue is nationalized. So there are different things. We'll tell you what. We'll go and maybe we'll have a monarchy. I'll be King Quill. Other empires. So you can manually decide which empires they're going to be and what their various, tech levels and so on and so forth are going to be. You can auto-generate them. You can choose the number of empires that are going to be created. 11 is the default for this particular setup. We'll leave it there. Allow independent alien colonies to start new empires during the game. That's the thing. If these little independent alien colonies are left alone and not conquered or absorbed, they will create their own empires and go on from there. This is... I mean, we haven't even gotten through the freaking game start setup yet. And I know the user interface is a little rough and whatever. It's sort of like the standard Windows widgets, GUI widgets. I was combining them into gadgets. This game is still mind-blowing. Okay, here are the victory conditions. So there are 4 standard victory conditions. One is the race-specific victory condition, which we talked about. And then there's the other 3. And so the victory threshold is you need a total victory threshold or total victory points of 80% or more to win. And you can tweak that if you want. So you can get up to 33% simply from territory, up to 33% simply from population, up to 33% from economy, and then there's the race-specific victory condition. So I guess Yeah, so I was explaining it a little bit incorrectly there, but you know, these all factor in. You can turn them off, you can turn them on, you can do whatever. It's a good idea to have it not trigger for the first few years because you can get in really weird situations where, because of an edge case, someone wins. So you know you have a little 20-year buffer where nothing can happen. You can put in a time limit if you want it to end at a certain amount of time, and then there's different story events, especially for various expansions and so on and so forth. So we'll start the game. It'll generate the galaxy for us. I find the game runs relatively well. I have not gone, because it's such a long-paced game, I have not gone and played really deeply into the game yet, so I'm not sure what the performance is a little bit later. So welcome to the Empire. We're the ruler of the humans. We've got a variety of victory conditions and so on and so forth. So we can start playing. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause right away, and it is a real-time 4X game. Now I have ranted in the past about real-time strategy games, like real-time empire building strategy games, right? Like I like real-time tactical games. I call them real-time strategy, but to me it's more like, so you've got things like StarCraft, Warcraft, the Hero-y whatever games. I'm going to move the camera. I just realized it's a bit in the way. So let's move over here and bring us down. All right. Yeah, so these games, like I like those because to me they're more like clickfest, sort of moving little groups of units around, right? But in my empire management games, I often don't like real time because I find it's really easy to lose track of some units. You know, you finished a battle in some province over here, but you're looking over there. Like, these big empire building games should not be Twitch games, and sometimes I feel they can really devolve into that. I don't mind Crusader Kings because usually you've got a small group of units, and it's easy to keep track of that one. But I had that problem late game, Victoria 2 and Hearts of Iron 3, for example. You end up with a lot of units all over, and you're constantly having to go and babysit them to make sure that they've got more move orders. This does not apply very much to this game because the amount of automation is... Look at this. Look, see, I said, like, you can have, what, 1,400 star systems? This is 1-star system. And look how many freaking planets we have. And some of these, like this planet, Andu 3, has a moon, right? So this star system has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 planets. That's a mining station. So 11, 12 planets. Yeah, Andu 12. So it has 12 frickin' planets in it. Each one of them theoretically is colonizable. If they've got moons, there's stuff you can do there. And then, yeah, you can build various star bases around them, all kinds of things like that. I just realized my watch keeps hitting the counter, so I'm just going to put it aside so it doesn't make any noise. Yeah, and then we can zoom out smoothly all the way over here and see the whole sort of freaking galaxy. The scope, I mean, if it hasn't burned out your brain yet, something's going wrong here. So the reason it works, despite the fact that it's gargantuan, is everything in the game can be automated. Literally, if you go, when you first start the game, you're going to get a help menu. Think this one here. And it's going to have all your help topics and everything in there. I love the fact that it's all accessible and it's great. And I can't remember what screen. It's the first screen that pops up when you first start the game. That is really pretty funny because it talks about the different ways you can play this game. Because if you wanted to, you could literally automate every single aspect of your empire. And first of all, then you could just walk away. The game would literally play itself from start to finish. You really wouldn't have to do anything. But what you could do is automate everything except, say, one ship. And you can play as freaking Captain Picard. Or Kirk, if that's more your thing. I don't know. And play the whole game like that. Or maybe you want to play more sort of like Admiral level, so you're going to take control of a fleet. Or this or that. You can do whatever. You can manually pilot individual ships in this freaking game, or you can go out to the point where like you're basically just the galactic president and you're okaying certain things. I'll show you the Empire policy screen, which is right here. So this is what controls all that automation. The automation is managed through here, so you can have full manual control where the AI won't do anything for you. For example, diplomatic treaties, and I quite like the suggestion. I like, especially early on, it's a great sort of default. It will come up with what it thinks is a good idea and then let you know about it. So you can approve, decline, or you can be like, okay, so you're suggesting that I create a peace or a trade treaty with another race. Tell you what, I'm going to decline, but then I'm going to go look at the race, see what's what, and then offer it myself, for example. You can also tweak all the parameters. That's the thing a lot of these games are missing. You can turn on the AI for convenient, convenience, but then there's something it does that drives you crazy, that you don't like the fact that it does something, or you feel it does it wrong. Well, you can tweak all those parameters in here. How often should they propose free trade agreements? Well, I'm going to say very high for this because I'm sort of a trade agreement kind of oriented person, and so on and so forth. Wars, like you can set the AI, it can start wars for you and declare peace for you. Now those things, I'll probably keep manual control, although again, you got that suggestion. Unless it's starting to annoy me, the suggestion seemed like a great idea. Automatic gifts, economy and trade, intelligence, all the spy missions, and there's quite a bit of spy mission options in there we're going to look at. Colonization rules, how much do they prioritize different types of planets. The facility buildings on planets, and what I do like is the ability again to set population limits. For example, we only want a terraforming facility once we get to 500 million people on the planet, and we're not going to bother with a regional capital until we get 5 billion people on the planet. Tax rates, yeah, sure, I'll fully automate them because that seems like a little micromanaging. We'll keep the tax rate on small planets low to help them grow, and then on larger colonies we'll have it high because that's what's going to finance our sort of an entire economy. Troop recruitments, research and design. I have it set to fully automated here, but I don't actually use it fully automated. That's just to make sure that I don't go through a period where I forget to set new text, or I like to see what it suggests. And again, you can set all kinds of different priority weights in here to let you know what's what. It can also prompt you to upgrade various ships and things for you, including what designs to upgrade and automatically build for you. Ship design fine-tuning. Do we want more armor, more shields, more this, more that? Do we want to favor beam weapons versus missile weapons? Those are all options you can set up. It goes on and on, like all the way down to fleet formation. And actually, I quite like the way that fleets work. So that's just the automation screen. And so that's the thing. When you're first playing, you can really just let things go on autopilot a lot. You can load pre-made automations, including the rules that are used by the AI version. So you want to play the game exactly like the AI humans do? Boom, you can do that. You can save your policies once you've got a setting that you're comfortable with. Save the file, and then you can keep that around. Great, great, great. We're going to keep going through the screens, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to load one of my later games and try to show some of the... I don't know, you know what, maybe we'll start by loading one of these games right now. I should have one in here, from one of the later Quillpire games, which should be expanded just a little bit. We'll go through the screens, we'll see what's what. I should have a few fleets at this point. I don't think I'm at war with anyone if I recall correctly. Oh, the other thing! Yeah, there's not just the military ships that you control, but your shipyards and everything also are responsible for building all the civilian ships. You also have the ability to design all these ships. Oh, and the design screen is quite cool. All right, so at this point the game has gone on for a little bit. Can I set up... Got the long-range scanners on. Empire influence. There we are. So we can see some of the blobs that are sort of become created here. So I've been discovering different people. I've built a lot of scout ships, which are incredibly important. Actually, I don't even think I'm human in this particular game. I don't recall. So this is a bit more of a mature game. So we'll go through the different options here. So we've got our list of colonies that I actually possess. How do I actually zoom to them? Ah, there. Go to colony. Oh, it's down there. Let me zoom in again and then try that again. Go to colony. There we are. So here's one of my colonies, for example. Is it my capital? I don't think so. Oh yeah, it is. Definitely. It's my biggest one. Oh, and each one of the screens also has help. How can you help your colonies grow? And you can read up all about that right in context. This game has so much stuff going on, but you only have to deal with it part at a time. Let me unpause here so we can start to see like these ships just like move. And again, I can take control of any one of these and do something with it, or by default they'll have some various AI assigned to them. They'll get some jobs done. And again, it's like this is a fleet. This is part of my first fleet here, and one of the rules I can set up is the fleets, if they can be created on their own or not, for example, but also how many ships are in a fleet versus how many ships are in a strike force, so you can have all kinds of different characterization or classification there. How many ships are assigned to these, so some ships are going to stay free roaming and some of them are going to become part of a fleet. Here we go. One of my explorer ships just found some ancient ruins. The Great Beacon of Zuban, ancient ruins from lost civilization at the volcanic planet Zubin, the first in the Zuban system. Our sensors indicate that the ruins lie in the midst of a vast rocky plain blanketed with thousands of geothermal steam vents. Should we investigate? Of course. While our survey team was exploring the ruins of the Great Beacon, they found a powerful locator beacon. They activated the beacon, and signal has been picked up by a small fleet of ships that has just hyperjumped into the system. A message from the fleet explains, "Greetings, we are the Ugnari refugees from a faraway galaxy. We were driven from our home by a cruel alien race who pursued us in a brutal war. We seek refuge with you and wish to join your empire. In return, we will offer you a fleet of ships." Okay. Some colony ships, small escorts of military ships, appear to be quite advanced. If we want to absorb the refugees into our empire and claim the ships, then we should move towards their fleet at the planet. Alright, let's go to the event location. I'll take my first fleet, which is currently retrofitting. Maybe we'll grab another strike force. There we go. And we will move a fleet over here. So by right-clicking, I've told them to move over here. I can also control right-click and get some more instructions, for example. Different details. All right. You can see the little pop-up here. Ask Empire to lift trade sanctions. So these guys have a trade sanction against some friends of mine. So the AI advisor is suggesting I talk to these guys and request that they lift that. Sure, that sounds like a good idea. All right. So the scope of this game is mind-blowing. There's so much stuff here. I can turn on the private vector, or the travel vectors for private ships. Oh, maybe it's not showing up in this map. That's too bad. But yeah, like, all right. So screens, right? So colony screens. I better pause again, otherwise I'm just going to get distracted. Your existing colonies. And you can jump around and just see sort of like their stuff at a glance, including their morale. So I might want to do something about that. There's lots of text. They break down all the different bonuses and malices that are affecting boni and mali that are affecting your colony, for example. You know, high level of deployment or development. But Empire's leader and this colony's governor provide a total of -1% happiness bonus, and the current tax rate is too damn high. So this planet here has a certain type of population. They're Xenoxian. This is my race, so they're all 100% of them are of this race. What cargo exists on this planet? There are many different types of resources in this game. So, for example, if I sort by amount here, there's a lot of Castellon on this planet, which is one of the main fuel sources, for example. We've got polymers, something called Tiderios, Osalia, Bifurian silk, steel, gold, aculon, and so on and so forth. And they do different things for different reasons, and different races prefer different ones. So that's cargo, and then we have our resources, which are some of the ones I already mentioned, like the silk. Troops and characters. We have a variety of different military regiments over here that we can recruit, disband. We also have unique characters that we're going to look at very soon. There's a ship construction yard here. Some of you who may have considered playing Aurora before, but then were like totally freaked out about the fact that it just looks like a giant mess of garbageness in terms of user interface. This has like almost the same degree of complexity, but is about 100 times more user friendly. Now, you can still get lost in the details, but you can actually play, again, you can play a lot of the game. Your first game, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. The automation is just all right. So construction yards for ships, docking bays, various facilities, and we could choose from the pull downs. So, technology installations, high-speed shipyards, little things like that. We can manually do this on a case-by-case basis, or again, play the sort of president where you've assigned your advisors, they'll come to you, and then you can make an informed decision overall about what you want to do. Tax rate over here, we can rename the planets. We've got the expansion planner. That's actually the next screen, so let's take a look at that. There we go, pause. So expansion planner, this displays, there's two parts to it. One are resources that exist in the entire game. So basically every resource that is there. We can find out, we can sort it based on how much we've got, but it might be more interesting, for example, to sort by demand. Oh, I don't have any demand. All right, that's kind of interesting. We can sort it by how much is the entire galaxy, plenty of hydrogen, and then also galactic demand, which is kind of interesting. For example, there's a fair amount of demand for Castellon. Okay, so, that shows the components, but what I can do is I can filter. I can say, show me all the planets that happen to have Castellon reserves. Now, Castellon, I think, is a gas. You mostly mine it orbitally from gas giants, using star bases, so that's probably not going to come up as a planetary resource, which is why it's not there. There's also critical empire resources, things we need. So, or you can just, leave that filter off. These are all the planets that we have discovered that are currently uninhabited. No, not controlled by an opponent empire. Some of them are inhabited because they can have these sort of like independent sort of or slightly more primitive races or whatever. Some of them are offshoots, or maybe they're all offshoots of other races, or they're related to other races in the game. So if you happen to have the same base race, then you get a pretty significant bonus to your relations there, and sometimes they will just sort of join your empire. And other times you got to go and like blow them up or invade them. So there's different ways to deal with it there. So we can sort this list based on maybe by quality rating, right? We want the highest quality rating. Well, this one here, Osu, is 100% quality rating planet. That is actually stupendously good. What kind of resources does it have? Oh, it's got some Emeros crystals. That's great. Some of these have different stuff. And if we want to colonize it, we just hit the button to send it a colony ship. Well, that's already been done. There we go. Here's one that's not yet, doesn't have anything going its way. And it's actually a fairly high quality planet. It doesn't have any resources, but there are different reasons to do different things. I believe that between the size and the quality, that determines how many people you can stuff on there. So if I had colony ships built, I could click here to send one of them. But what's really handy is this button where you can build and send a colony ship. It'll just queue one up at one of my shipyards, and then as soon as it's built, it will send it off to this planet, which I find it to be very, very awesome. So we'll go ahead and queue that up. So that is the expansion planner, which is a feature I adore. So all kinds of different filters here. By default, it filters out super low quality colonies. And how low is low quality? Well, it'll depend on your standards. Also, what techs you have will unlock different things. You see the continental planets are quite a bit higher, but I have at least unlocked the tech to colonize marshy, swampy, desert, maybe tundra. Let's see, volcanic is quite a bit lower. I think I might have some tech in there, but maybe not all of it. I'm not sure. We'll check that out in just a second. Next screen, empire comparison and victory conditions. So again, we've got the 4 victory conditions that we talked about. So here's me in the Quill Empire. So right now I'm getting 8% from economy, 6% from territory, 6% from population, and 12% from my racial sort of makeup, which, does that total to 33%? That's 12, 20, 32, so rounding error, yeah, 33%. Towards the victory. And again, the victory threshold is 80%. So I can, any combination of those that I can sort of make equal up to 80%, and I'll be good to go. So far I have lost the fewest troops in the galaxy. I've lost 0 troops so far, so I'm good there. So apparently I'm not a race that's going to want to do a lot of ground invasions, perhaps. I'll just nuke them from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. So that's the victory conditions. We can sort by population, territory, economy, strategic value, military strength, top colonies. There's your targets right there. Next screen. Oh, game editor, built-in game editor, because, again, there's not enough ability to sort of customize the starting conditions in that first frickin' screen. Yeah, all right, so let's just make sure that there's a built-in game editor, because, maybe you were trying to recreate the Star Wars Empire, and you want to make sure that Tatooine is exactly where it should be on the outer rim, right? Sure, why not? Character screen. So you've got a variety of characters that belong to your empire. So for example, the leader of my entire empire is Eddie Tasrin over here. So he's currently on Libya 3, and he's ruling there. So he is an industrialist. He's organized, measured, tolerant. And if we mouse over, we get another breakdown of his traits. So industrialist gives me negative 10% population growth, but plus 10% mining rate. Tolerant gives us plus 10% trade income and plus 10% diplomacy, which is pretty good. These traits develop based on actions that happen. Like they happen dynamically throughout the game. You will gain traits or lose traits, or maybe you just gain traits up until you get the certain amount. I'm not sure. Here's the aggregate bonus. Your character can level up through a variety of things. Gain some extra points here and there. We can move him to a different planet. So that's my leader. I've also got a scientist here. He's currently on one of my research stations. I have many research stations, so I can move him to a different one if I wanted to. He's particularly good, so he's methodical. decreases the chance of critical research success or failure. So I'm not going to get as many crits, good or bad, but more consistent research, and he's very good at energy research. So if I had a station, I'd have to check, because depending on where the station is, because they're usually near an anomaly, different things give you different sort of basic amounts of research. So I'd want to make sure that he's actually quite closely tied to energy research if possible. So, don't we have, yes, there we go, intelligence agents right here. Right now he's acting defensively. Skill levels and traits are unknown. We haven't really used him much, so we don't know what his traits are. But potentially he's got some sort of assassination type trait, or maybe all spies have that. So, oh, I'd have to cancel his mission. Then I could target an empire. And I could try to assassinate a character. Assassinate the leader. Take up to a year to do it. Highly risky. Only 22% chance of success. Yeah, what the hell, right? I'll get him murdered. I've got one colony governor over here, and again, I can move him from planet to planet. He doesn't make people too happy. Maybe that's because he looks like Zoidberg. But he increases income, population growth, little things like, how come he makes people unhappy? Because he's labor-oriented. Also cuts back on growth. Right, so that's pretty interesting feature that they added in this game. So diplomacy, we've got all the major empires. There may be independent groups, including pirates, which I love like Triceratopy type people, right? And if I look in the galaxy map, I believe we can actually see some pirate flags. These are pirate bases that I actually know about, and ideally, well, there's a couple of things I can do with them. Where was it? Yeah, right here. Yeah, they actually have a space station orbiting one of the planets. This is the pirate base. So what I can do is I can send my fleet over there to blow it up so that they stop raiding my commerce. Plus, destroying pirates gives you a bonus to your reputation with the other races, right? Everyone likes it when you destroy pirates. Plus, it can actually scare the other pirates into giving up and surrendering to you if you're that intimidating. Let's go and talk to one of these guys who like us, the Orzun Technocracy. Now, when you first meet someone, you'll always get this malice to your diplomacy that our ignorance of your strange alien ways causes us to distrust you, right? So you build that relationship over time, you figure out how to dialogue better, and that grows. And it actually does pay off quite well to have a good relationship with the races in here. It reminds me a lot of Civilization 4. You can clearly see all the bonuses that really factor into making a friendship, and it seems to work. Like, they will trade with you. They will send you gifts. They will join in wars. They will do all kinds of things. I really like the diplomatic model in here. There's change relationship, which is mostly like agreements and things like that, including like war and whatnot. We don't want that. We can send them the gift, and again, that'll improve our relationship. Send some sort of warning. Stop spying on us. Stop military. Remove your forces from our territory. Swap maps or tech. Right? Territory maps. So territory maps is territory we own. We will swap maps of those territories. And then galaxy is everything we have explored throughout. And I don't usually like to do it that way. Instead, I like to negotiate a trade proposal. Because here, you can say, all right, my galaxy map, based on what I know that you don't know, is worth 412,000 credits, which is a lot. These guys are pretty backwards. Whereas conversely, their galaxy map is worth 0. Everything they know about the galaxy, I already know. Worth literally nothing to me. But, they might have some money. Okay, so they have 89,000 credits. These guys, wow, they're pretty bad. But, maybe I'll be like, all right, I can use the money because I can use the money to increase my own research down the road. So tell you what, I will sell you the enhanced torpedoes, because we're good friends, right? Enhanced torpedoes, and this is worth more than what you're offering me. But this will actually make you like me even more going forward, and, sure, I'll end up with a little bit of money. Excellent, they'll accept the proposal. So there's a lot of options that you can do there. Next screen, Empire Summary screen. You can rename our empire, change our government type. Other than that, I think we're mostly just getting money. But again, you get a nice breakdown of, how do you make money? How does this all work? Very, very handy, helpful, lots of great stuff. This screen doesn't have much on it except for data. Now, the research screen is always very popular in these games. There is, in fact, plenty of technology. This is one of 3 screens. There's the weapons screen, the energy and construction screen, and the high-tech and industrial. So these are all different trees, but you research all 3 at once. So you have a weapons project, a energy project, a high-tech project all going on at the same time. So right now I'm researching high energy cohesion, which is going to improve my torpedoes. So it's going to give us, so right now I have epsilon torpedoes, but if I research high energy cohesion, I will develop shockwave torpedoes. They are slightly smaller and do more damage. So this is size 12 and do 17 damage. These are size 11 and do 24 damage. They actually have slightly less range though. They're only 430 range, which is interesting. And they use twice as much energy. They do go slightly faster, which helps reduce like evasion and things. This we'll look at the ship construction soon enough. One good thing to do with all your money is you can click on these projects and then initiate a crash research program, which will dramatically increase the speed. Yeah, triple our research speed at a cost of credits. Well, I just sold off the enhanced torpedoes basically for this amount of money. Now I'm going to quickly upgrade to these guys. So, it seemed like a worthwhile trade. Energy and construction has lots of different categories, including... Oh, I'm wrong. I thought this was the planetary one, but that's the next one over. But you can upgrade your mining, ship construction, which is pretty important because you start off with a maximum number or maximum size for your ships. And so you need to research technologies to increase the size available for your various ships, which unlocks sort of larger sort of hull names and whatnot. But yeah, that becomes a pretty significant thing. But there's so many things like, oh yeah, your hyperdrive technology, your shield technology is under here. These are your power plants, which are actually pretty important to upgrade as well, because the energy, your speed during hyperspace is not really determined by your engines, I believe. It's mostly sort of like your overall energy capacities, usually the cap more than anything else. And then high tech and industrial, again, more of everything, but that includes things like planetary stuff. So like ocean colonization, I think I'm working my way to. Actually, apparently I've queued all the way to ice colonization. I probably found a planet with some important special characteristic that I really want to get to. So I'm focusing that way, which, good, bad, I don't know. I don't know how to play this game. Here, let's crash research everything. You can get a list of your research stations and some stats there as well. So, okay, design screen. Whew. Are you getting an idea why I've never had time to let's play this game? It's insane. So this is all of the ship designs in our database at this time. Now this includes military vessels and exploration ships, but also like and you kind of control these yourself, but it also includes civilian ships, freight, colony is one of ours, passenger, that sort of thing, and also includes things like star bases. So there's lots of different things. So if we open one of these, so let's say this cruiser here, let's go and edit this. Yeah, so every now and again, if you have something automated like your research or the ship design, it'll prompt you when you're going to edit. It's like, listen, this is currently automated. Do you want us to turn off the automation? I actually quite like to say, well, for the research, I left the automation on, but what I'll do is I'll say, don't ask me again, but leave automation on. And then you can still go in and sort of manually mess around with things when you want, but the general sort of thing is handled automatically. Can't edit this design because it's already in use. Right, so what I actually want to do is go copy as new. There we go. So I get a copy of that ship, and I can now tweak it and make changes to it. So it's not a visual editor, and I'm okay with that, to be honest. As much as, is it in Star Drive? They've got the sort of grid, which I thought was okay. But in a lot of games, I don't find that the visual editor really seems to help things out very much. A list of components seems like it should do pretty good. So this ship has an Equinox jump drive, 1 command center, 2 fusion reactors, 10 Megatron Z4 shields, 7 heavy railguns, some standard armor, proton thrusters, thrust vectors, fuel cells, point defense cannons, velocity shards, combat targeting system, HAB modules, and life support modules. And when you're designing these ships, you need a certain amount of these things, but luckily it will keep telling you if something is missing. You'll get various readouts on your various screens, and you'll get alerts. Oh, here we go, your warnings, letting you know if something is horribly bad. So if I cancel that and I actually go add a new design entirely. So default retrofit stance. So again, this helps with your automation. Well, by default, yeah, you know what? We'll leave on the flag because if you get an upgrade, right? When we develop those new torpedoes, for example, because of our automation setting, right now, it will prompt me. It will update all my designs to the new torpedoes. Secondly, it will prompt me and it'll say, hey, there's a certain number of ships that could use a retrofit. Do you want to do this? And I will say yes, and those ships will go to their nearest starbase, and they will spend a certain amount of money. They will be upgraded to the new design to use the new torpedoes. Sometimes I don't do that every time. Sometimes it's like, you know what, I'm going to wait, I'm going to hit cancel, I'm going to get a few more techs and then do sort of one larger retrofit at the same time. You define the role of the vessel here. And again, there's so many freaking options. And this helps your AIs assign the right task for different things. I'm not sure if it affects what components can fit on or are required. I think it's mostly an AI sort of organization thing. So we're going to define this one being a cruiser. Your basic AI, yeah, so that's the role, that's the AI. The stronger opponents, what do? Do you just try to keep a safe distance? Do you actively try to evade them? There's an autosave every few minutes. There we go. Or whatnot. Weaker opponents, all weapons, point blank, like ramming speed. Invasion rules. I'm not sure what invasion does. When to flee. And civilian ships will just run whenever they see an enemy military ship, for example. These guys, 50%, sure, we don't want them to start running too late, they might get blown up. And you can start adding components. So again, we'll be like, and you get a list of things of what you need. Oh, okay, so we need some reactors. I have researched both fusion and fission reactors. They use slightly different fuel. The fission reactors, which are your default ones, use Caslon fuel, but I've also got fusion reactors researched, apparently, that require hydrogen instead. Hydrogen much more plentiful, right? It's sort of your, renewable versus non-renewable fuel sources. So we could add one fission reactor. We can also hit this button and add 5. I'll just add 1. Okay, need a hyperdrive component. Good, okay, we know we don't want jump drive. We need a command module, so that's good. I think there's a button. I thought there was something you could do to sort of autofill the blanks, but I might be thinking of a different game. Command center, here we are. And what it does, it provides a certain amount of command points and things. All right, fuel storage. So you go through all this, you can see what's missing, and then you can sort of fill in, what you actually want. You're like, oh, well, we want to make this a blaster-based guy. Or we'll make torpedoes. We'll add 5 torpedo tubes. Armor shields are all recommended. So let's put on a couple of armor components. And that's recommended, we don't need that. Design must have a name, right? Okay. Was the name not up here? Oh, I think that's when we save it. So I actually quite like the building. And again, you can build a variety of star bases, laboratories. You can decide, we can go and check our passenger ships here, right? And I know we can't edit it because it's in use, but our passenger ships, maybe we want to add some shields to it. Maybe we want to do something, or more importantly, the bases, right? So we've got our mining stations, and I believe by default these things are not armed. No, indeed. Yeah, they got some railguns. Some armor. I don't think it's got shields, though. Right, so we might want a better defended mining base. And we could do that, take away a couple of its mining modules, won't mine as fast, or maybe we're just willing to spend more, different things like that, add more weapons, add more shields. The exploration ships, we might want to figure out a way to add more rockets, more boosters. Again, adding a second power plant actually can, I believe, increase your hyperspeed. Let me go and copy as new on this guy and see if that's something that's actually possible or if I'm lying to you. That might be already maxed. If I bring it down to 1, yeah, there we go. So if I only have 1 fusion reactor, the hyperspeed's not as high. So I put in the second one, then it's there, and it does max us out. So one of the strategies is to try to make sure, especially the hyperspeed is maxed as much as possible, which is why I do tend to research a power plant or a reactor upgrade as soon as possible. So, yeah, lots of stuff. And again, lots of automation options. And again, here we could select all this, auto upgrade selected designs. Sure, just do the work for me because I don't want to do that. I'm going to skip this button for a sec. So we can go to the construction yard screen. We'll get a list of everywhere that has some sort of construction yard. So planetary spaceports. We've got construction ships that can build certain things. We've got planets that can build certain things. So the planets, you know, can build a little bit, but usually the spaceports is where most of this stuff gets built. And then how many slots can be built there? So I believe this port, is it building 12 things at a time? I think that might be the situation. We can queue up extra ships here to be added. There's a queue. And again, your spaceports are shared between military and civilian vessels, right? Civilian vessels got to be built somewhere. You don't control the civilian vessels, but if you queue up too many military ships sometimes, your economy might go into the tank because your traders can't build ships to do trading with. So, you know, that's one possibility. Now, you don't generally want to build your ships here. And again, you know, cargo and things and stuff and whatever. You actually want to use this screen mostly. Build orders. So you say, listen, we've got we're gearing up for a war. I want to get 10 escort ships. I guess I can type here as well. I want 6 frigates, 4 destroyers, and 2 cruisers added to it. And you can pick your model if you have more than one model of these different classes, and that's where, you know, you were putting in that class there. And I can purchase this. You know, I can say, oh, we'll need some resupply ships as well. So I purchase this for 136,000 credits, and then I'll add it to all my queues. So this is my ship and bases screen. It will list like so much, and I don't usually bother with this particular screen because, good God, how ridiculous and crazy. But you can definitely like look at everything and find everything, and it's nice that these tools exist. There's different ways of filtering, so just show me all my colony ships. What are they up to? I don't remember, you know. And it should show it on the map where they are as well. Yeah. But much more handy is this fleet screen, I find. So again, the AI is currently setting up fleets for me, but I could also set them up manually. I can rename them here. I can... How do I set ship? Set fleets. I don't actually build them here. I think I build them on this screen. I select ships and combine them, or... Oh God, I don't remember. Learn fleets. I mostly just automate this step. If I just take some ship. If I have anyone idle. If I take an individual ship here. I don't remember. And yeah, there's so many filters here, so we can cycle through nearest available military ships, cycle through all the colonies, spaceports, military ships in general, construction ships, exploration or colony ships, fleets, so again, all the fleets, and then any idle ships that might be around. Right now it's just my second strike force, or these are the guys I told to move to that planet. They're currently idle. What I probably want to do is just automate them again and have them be smart. So I've just done that. Last screen, the troop screen. All of our troops, you can load troops onto troop transports and use them to invade planets. I have not done a whole lot of that manually, so there's not much I can really add in there. Galactic history screen. And this is like the story that you've discovered by, you know, doing certain things in game. Message history, all the messages that have come by. The money, the cash flow, the bonus income, the current star date, or just date, I suppose. Filters on the map. Like this game, again, just utterly ridiculous. We'll go up to quad speed. We're gonna get spammed with lots and lots of events happening. I just, it's one of those games. I think that if you could only have one game for the rest of your life, and you really, really wanted a 4X space sim, then there you go. Suggesting we attack the pirates. Yeah, that sounds fine. One of our fleets, the 5th fleet, is ready to attack in your order. Shall we initiate the attack? Sure. Sounds great. And I love like seeing that sort of thing. So here's our 5th fleet, which, oh, we didn't even have before. I think it was just assembled. Probably out of all the ships I started queuing. Actually, they were probably not done yet. These are probably earlier queued. But it did assemble this fleet. And they're pretty smart too. Like if you were manually, you know, if it hadn't automated it, I could have... let's say these guys here, right? So I can right click to attack, but I can control right click and I can say prepare and attack the fugitive headquarters. And you know, I think if the AI is doing it, it always makes sure, it only suggests it if you've got a fleet that's actually already prepared. But if you do it that way, what'll happen, all your ships will group up, they will refuel, they will rearm, they will make sure they're in exactly the right status, and then they will head out and attack. So we've got our fleet. Oh God, Been playing too many games. I keep scrolling with the wrong buttons. Right, so we've got our fleet there. It's made up of lots of ships. They've jumped into hyperspace and are heading over there. And then they will get there and they will fight. And again, you know, it's real time, so you will see them shoot and try to maneuver. I don't know if you're really going to maneuver around a starbase or not. Sure. Sure. Here, we'll just watch the attack go by and then... Sure, investigate the Unity Forum. Any empire that colonizes this planet gets an empire-wide 20% diplomacy bonus. Wow. That's pretty good. See, we'll have to check that out more properly. Oh, here's the retrofit thing. You know, we can spend 50,000 credits, retrofit a few ships and bases. Sounds good to me. Yes, alright, let's... I have a lot of exploration ships and I'm operating at maximum speed right now. Oh, see, we discovered one of those independent colonies. Advanced amphibious race, very cautious, gifted scientists, master starship engineers. Friendly towards us, likely we could easily colonize this planet. Great, well maybe we'll do that. Fifth Fleet is mostly there. Different ships are being attacked. There's like, oh, there's space monsters and everything, and you can go and finish them off. And it's one of those games. It's one of those games that at some point it's going to get played properly. There we go. We got a gift. This is a guy we traded with before, right? It's a puny gift because they're broke because we took all their money. But you know what? I appreciate it. We got a breakthrough in enhanced engines. Well, that's just lovely. Temple of Eternal Blackness. Sure. Found documents outlining a unique form of government, the Way of Darkness. This type of government can provide us with special benefits that are unavailable to other empires. Way of Darkness, cruel form of government that was followed by an evil empire that once dominated the galaxy thousands of years ago. What happened to this mighty empire is not stated. We can adopt this new type of government anytime from the Empire summary screen? No kidding. The Way of Darkness? Much less war wariness, much less maintenance cost. Huge boost to growth rate. Technically it's a bonus to research rate, but it would be a negative to us because currently we're a technocracy. Bonus to troop recruitment. We eliminate our corruption. Or no, right now we have less corruption, so we would actually lose some of that. Sure, the Way of the Darkness. Development levels in some of your colonies will be set back. Some of your colonies may even decide to leave your empire if they do not like your choice. Yeah. So it's an evil form of government. Who cares? Where's our target? Did it already get blown up? Oh god damn it, we missed it. We missed the battle. Super troopers. Yeah, they're done. They're going to refuel now. Well, awesome. Anyway, that's the game, and it's crazy. The scope of this. Yeah, we found some random treasure. Sounds good. The scope of this game, I still can't get over it. You should definitely check it out. Again, it's not super cheap. It's not on Steam or anything like that. It's by a company called Codemasters. I can't remember. They got a website where they specifically sell it through, but it's called Distant Worlds, and there are 3 expansions. I'm trying to remember if I'm counting the new one or not, or the base game or not, or I don't know. And you have to, you know, if you want the later expansions, you have to have all the early ones. They add in order. It's not where you can sort of pick and choose your DLC. But if you're a dedicated Space Empire 4X type of person, you can't really go wrong with it. Anyway, that's it. I will see